We have some major WWE Championship news. Tony Khan has responded to a controversial claim by CM Punk, and has the AEW Dynasty big surprise just been leaked. But first, be sure to subscribe to Wrestle Planet with notifications turned on so you don't miss the latest pro wrestling news as we close in on the 50,000 subscriber mark. And let's start by taking a look at 5 WWE superstars who have been released from the company. Last night, news would begin to break that WWE were undergoing yet another round of roster cuts, this during the latest episode of SmackDown. The first name to be released on the night would be Zion Quinn, who was called up to the main roster from NXT in April 2023. However, since he was announced as a free agent that can work both Raw and SmackDown following the 2023 draft, he's only worked 2 matches in WWE, one as a competitor in the Intercontinental title #1 contendership Battle Royal in May 2023, with his most recent appearance being a 6-second squash match where he lost to Bron Breakker last month. The Australian former rugby league player has not yet responded to the news on social media, with his future in wrestling unknown at this point, although his departure has been confirmed by Fightful Select. The second name to be confirmed as out would be former WWE champion Jinder Mahal, with his release initially breaking when the man himself took to X to reveal, "I quit, Maharaja out." However, it was later confirmed by both Fightful and PW Insider that the departure was in fact a release rather than Mahal walking out. In any case, Jinder would confirm that he will be a free agent in 90 days in his X bio, which suggests that he plans on sticking around in the wrestling business going forward. On top of this, the Bollywood Boys, who were allies with Jinder during his reign as WWE champion, would hint at a reunion on social media, something that we could see going forward. Mahal's release may be a surprise to some given his recent high-profile segment involving The Rock, although his win-loss record and lack of sustained push will counter that surprise. Xia Li is another name that's unfortunately been cut from the WWE roster, somebody who has been an active part of both the main roster and NXT in recent years, most notably being a challenger for Becky Lynch during the latter's reign as NXT Women's Champion. Xia would take to X to post a statement confirming her exit from the company and wrote, "It's been over 7 years since I joined WWE, and as the first female Chinese superstar, I feel incredibly proud. I am sincerely grateful to WWE and Triple H for welcoming me into this big family. During this valuable time, I've not only grown tremendously, but also learned countless invaluable experiences. Thank you for your trust and opportunities you have given me to break barriers and set an example." Several WWE and even AEW wrestlers have responded to Xia's release, with the likes of Io Sky, Kairi Sane, Chelsea Green, Natalya, Deonna Purrazzo and Taya Valkyrie sending their messages of support to Xia on social media in the hours that followed the release. And finally, 2 more names would later be confirmed as soon-to-be free agents, that being the team of Veer Mahan and Sangha. Both men were allies with the aforementioned Jinder Mahal in a group known as Indus Sher. It remains to be seen if they plan on remaining in the wrestling business, although given Jinder's apparent plans to stick around, perhaps it would make sense for Indus Sher to reunite on the independents or elsewhere. Everybody in this list, assuming they all have a 90-day non-compete clause, will be free to work elsewhere from the 18th of July 2024. But what do you think is next for this round of WWE roster cuts? Let me know in the comments down below. And next up, Drew McIntyre suffered an injury at WrestleMania. Drew McIntyre has been making headlines as of late, whether it be his personal rivalry with CM Punk or his expiring WWE contract, with both sides locked into talks over renewed terms. At WrestleMania 40, Drew would be on the winning side of his match with Seth Rollins for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, although an assist from CM Punk would aid Damian Priest in cashing in his Money in the Bank briefcase, ending Drew's reign almost instantly. According to PW Insider, the Scottish psychopath is said to have suffered an injury that night, this during his match with Rollins, a knock that he's currently working through. The report notes that Drew would pick up a badly hyperextended elbow, which explains why he's wearing a long elbow pad during the ongoing WWE UK tour. Whilst the injury isn't ruling Drew out of action, we'll have to wait and see if he needs to take time off to fully recover in the weeks ahead. And next, Matt Hardy addresses his recent social media hints at a WWE return. Matt Hardy's AEW contract would recently come to an end in early April, with him currently locked into talks with many promotions regarding his future in wrestling. Following the Uncle Howdy return teasers this past Monday night on Raw, Hardy would fuel speculation that he was set to link up with the former Bo Dallas in the near future, this when he reposted the QR code that appeared on the show on his own X account. Speaking on his Extreme Life podcast this week, Matt would appear to confirm that this was nothing more than a move to keep his name in the news cycle, something he feels is his job as a free agent, and Hardy would note, "Full disclosure, I am doing what I should be doing as a free agent, creating hype around myself. Yes, I've been speaking with AEW constantly, I've been speaking with WWE, I've been speaking with several people across several different platforms. So I think the next couple of weeks are going to be fun. The next few weeks are going to be fun. As I said before, I think we're getting to the point where we're going to be doing some pretty cool stuff coming up. So yeah, I'm doing what I should be doing, and my job as a brand, which I have to look at myself as a brand, a lot of my social media stuff as my Matt Hardy brand. My job as a brand is to promote myself and to create buzz around myself. I feel I do a pretty decent job with it whenever I'm just able to kind of freelance and do whatever." Whilst more Uncle Howdy clues appeared on SmackDown last night, it seems that nothing is confirmed as to if Matt Hardy will be linking up with the brother of his fellow former tag team champion Bray Wyatt, although the possibility shouldn't be ruled out entirely. And next up, we have some major WWE Championship news. This past Monday night, Rhea Ripley was forced to vacate her WWE Women's World Championship, this after sustaining an injury last week during a backstage segment involving Liv Morgan. It would then be confirmed that a new champion will be crowned next week on Raw, although at the time it was unknown how this would happen. With that said, WWE would reveal last night on SmackDown that a Battle Royal will take place to determine who the new champion will be, with this set to go down next week. And the video package would show the following wrestlers: Becky Lynch, Liv Morgan, Nia Jax, Maxine Dupree, Chelsea Green, Natalya, Katana Chance, Indy Hartwell, Zoe Stark, Kaden Carter, Candice LeRae, Shayna Baszler, Xia Li, Tegan Nox, Piper Niven, and Ivy Nile. Despite Xia Li's inclusion in the video package, we now know that she has been released from WWE, so expect her to be replaced by somebody new. And speaking of titles, last night Triple H would once again reveal brand new tag team titles, this time for the SmackDown brand, this after gifting R-Truth and The Miz the new WWE World Tag Team titles on Raw this week. The CCO would reveal titles inspired by the old WWF Tag Team belts, which now belong to Grayson Waller and Austin Theory. Instead of the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, they will now be known as the WWE Tag Team Champions. A-Town Down Under's first defense of their new belts will be against the Street Profits, who won last night's #1 contender fatal 4-way tag match against New Catch Republic, Legado del Fantasma, and the Authors of Pain. They weren't the only #1 contenders to be named either, as AJ Styles would later go on to defeat LA Knight for a spot in the Backlash main event, with the Phenomenal One becoming Cody Rhodes' first challenger for the WWE Undisputed title. Next up, Tony Khan has responded to a controversial claim made by CM Punk. Tomorrow night, All Elite Wrestling present the first ever Dynasty pay-per-view from St. Louis, Missouri, something AEW President Tony Khan would speak to the media about this week during the pre-show media call. Khan was asked about the recent CM Punk interview with Ariel Helwani, where the former AEW World Champion claimed that he was forced to pay his own medical expenses following his injury at the All Out pay-per-view in 2022, even adding that he didn't hear from anyone in the company for several months. This is what Tony had to say on the matter. "We typically do pay those expenses. I'd have to look into that. I can't say for sure. It doesn't sound right to me. If that is the case, I would reimburse him, honestly. I didn't think that was the case, and it doesn't sound right, so I would have to look into that. Typically, we do cover those medical expenses, especially for something that occurred in the ring, as that did, so I would have to look into that. I can't say for sure." This wasn't the only time that CM Punk was mentioned on the call, as Tony would also be asked about AEW's decision to air the backstage footage of the incident from AEW All in London, involving CM Punk and the absent Jack Perry, this in order to hype up the match between FTR and the Young Bucks at Dynasty, and Khan would say, "After the ratings came in, it felt like when TBS called me and told me good job. You have to remember I'm responsible for everybody's job in the company. It is really important for us to please the network, and TBS was really happy with that show and that performance. That is the most important, our fan feedback on the show. The rating is the #1 source of fan feedback in the end, the network, and they were incredibly pleased. It was 400,000 viewers in the 18 to 49 demographic, and that was a strong performance. Whilst the segment on Dynamite did well in comparison to prior weeks, this week's episode fell back down to the typical numbers. However, notably, there would be a big drop when the Young Bucks appeared on Dynamite this week, which even fell below the typical average for that slot. This is perhaps a sign that the move didn't generate the buzz around the Bucks FTR rivalry AEW were hoping for when it comes to returning viewers, although the pay-per-view buy rate will also be a telling factor in if the call was a success long-term business-wise or just a cheap ratings ploy for a one-week boost. Next up has the AEW Dynasty Big Surprise just been leaked. As mentioned, AEW will host the first ever Dynasty pay-per-view, with perhaps the most talked about match on the night being the ladder match between the Young Bucks and FTR for the vacant AEW World Tag Team titles. However, one of the reasons it's the most talked about is the decision to air the CM Punk Jack Perry backstage footage from AEW All in London in order to hype it up. Speaking with Sports Illustrated ahead of the event, the Young Bucks would tease that a big surprise could be on the way tomorrow night, and Matt Jackson would say, "Expect us to put on a show. Nobody does pay-per-view like AEW. Expect big surprises. No other tag team in history consistently performs in big title matches like us, and expect us to start our historic third tag team title run, the one that'll go down as the greatest of our career." As to what the surprise is, we have reason to believe that we may be set to see the AEW return of scapegoat Jack Perry, which would be his first appearance since the now infamous backstage incident involving himself and CM Punk in London. Dave Meltzer would take to the Wrestling Observer newsletter yesterday to suggest that Jack's excursion to New Japan Pro-Wrestling is now officially over, with his return now just around the corner, and Dave would write, "This was Perry's final New Japan match and he's starting imminently in AEW." So do you think a Jack Perry appearance is what the Young Bucks are hinting at? And what would your reaction be if he were to help the Bucks win the titles, joining the Elite in the process? Let me know in the comments down below.